Are we excited? Are we getting stoked? It is time because the new June Fusion was just announced and we're gonna talk about it today. I'll tell you what I think. We're gonna go over his kit very quickly because I'm sure y'all have seen it. He's everywhere. Everybody's making videos about him. But I thought you might want to hear everybody's opinion before you decide to go ahead or not go ahead and skip this fusion. So here I come with my own opinion that nobody asked for. Tholin Foulbeard, ladies and gentlemen. We get a Dwarf Force Attack Champion. Can I just say that seeing a Force Attack DPS is like seeing a unicorn out in the wild? I didn't think these existed, but here they are, they're a thing. For the entire duration of my raid journey, and for as many nukers as I have pulled on this account, I don't have a single Attack Force DPS champion. A single one! So that's one reason why I personally am tempted. Now let's read a little bit, talk a little bit about the kit, what we can expect from these multipliers, and whether it's worth going for. If you want to become a part of my squad and raid, click my link in the description right now to get a free legendary Corrado, as well as 3 free epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Launch raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champ. That is all you need to do to get a free Corrado as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you progress in raid. Don't miss out and click on my link right now. His A1 attacks all enemies. Right off the bat, this skill, beautiful. I love an attack all enemies A1. Before attacking, he has a 25% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff strong weaken for 2 turns, and a 50% chance of placing it if the target is from the Corrupted Alliance, a boss, or a minion. This effect cannot be resisted by enemies from the Corrupted Alliance, bosses, or minions. Irresistible weaken, 50% chance of landing it on all enemies for 2 turns. Actually, when you book it out, that raises to a 75% chance against champions that are of Knights, Revenants, Dark Elves, Undeads, and Demon Spawns, right? And then grants an extra turn if a weaken was placed on all enemies by this skill. This extra turn, if you build them with high enough accuracy, this can land so many times. A2, Back to the Abyss, attacks one enemy twice. Each hit will ignore 25% of the target's defense. If the target is from the Corrupted, boss, or minion, each hit will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead. Each hit decreases the target's attack by 5%, stacks up to 25%. Each hit also increases this champion's attack by 5%, stacks up to 50% attack increase. Permanent, I assume, on Tholin after each hit. That's on a 4-turn cooldown. You book it out to a 3-turn cooldown. That only takes 3 books for it to land in it. The ignore defense here is a very big chunk. 50% ignore defense for the Corrupted boss or minion is giant. So this A2 should smack really hard. On his A3, he attacks all enemies twice before attacking. Wow, okay, wait. AoE twice. Amazing, I love it. I don't even need to know anything else, but I see a buff. Before attacking, places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. Strong increased attack. What else do you want? For each critical hit landed on the first hit, increases the damage dealt on the second hit by 10%. Will ignore unkillable and shield buffs. This is what seals the deal for me. The will ignore unkillable and shield buffs. This would have been extra broken if it included block damage towards it as well, but if the multiplier on this one is good, a wonderful job in PvE battles. Again, booking it down to a 3-turn cooldown only takes 3 books. So in reality, this champion doesn't need a lot of books to be fully built out. His passive activates Demon Breaker skill every 5th turn this champion takes. Enemies from the Corrupted, bosses, and minions cannot land a critical hit on this champion. This might be one very broken passive. Every 5th turn this champion takes, he's gonna activate his A1 for free, which is an AoE with a strong weaken. And now what I'm reading here and how I'm reading it is, if the weaken is placed on all allies, he's gonna get an extra turn after this passive triggers. So every 5th turn, if you manage to land this weaken, it's an extra turn Aura increases ally attack in all battles by 30%. This whole kit screams arena. This whole kit screams classic live arena. Faction Wars 100%. Now, let's speculate on these multipliers for a second. From what I've seen that this game likes to do, champions that come with extra turns, especially if there are many, don't tend to have ginormous multipliers. Like, I'm talking Thor, He-Man level multipliers, right? We're probably not gonna see something like this here. However, the fact that so many extra turns can be procced here, especially if you kit him out with something like Relentless, you're not gonna need giant multipliers. You're gonna need a lot of accuracy, a bunch of crit damage, solid crit rate, solid attack. Keep in mind your attack is gonna stack with the A2. It's gonna get even. This one is gonna be the hardest hitting skill, is what I'm assuming. The A2 is gonna be the hard hitter. With all of this said, we have a lot of good attackers, a lot of good DPS champions in Raid, right? Not a lot of good dwarves. Let's go back to the game. These are the attack champions that we have, the dwarves. These are them. You can literally count them on the screen. Which one are the good ones? Acrizia, Trunda, right? Overall, it's just kind of weak sauce when it comes to the DPSs in the dwarves faction. The force champions by themselves, they're like four force dwarves. Only one other attack force champion, and it's Mountain King, who, dare I say, reads really well, but it's kind of Now Thalin brings everything that a Mountain King does, right? But so much more and so much better. And he would be a great fit in the event dungeon that's coming very soon. We already have the event dungeon boss. How do you Covidas? Corrosa de Covidas. And she's a mythical support slash attack champion from the demon spawns. And we can go over her kit very quickly as well, so we see what we're dealing with here and we can kind of prepare from in advance and start thinking about what kind of champions you could take down the event dungeon to beat Corrosa and her minions. On her A1, in her regular form, she attacks all enemies, heals all allies. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's attack. On her A2, she removes all debuffs from all allies, places a strong increased attack and a shield on them for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to her attack. Once again, very odd, right? On her A3, she places a taunt and a 25% fortify buff, which is a new buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also places an unkillable buff on all allies except herself for 2 turns. On a 4-turn cooldown, this is a nasty skill. The fortify buff is new. It reduces enemy ignore defense effects by up to 25%. Could be anywhere between 15 to 25%. This is what the fortify buff does. On her passive effect, she's gonna receive 15% less damage for each alive ally, and her active effect instantly transforms her into her alternate form whenever the last living ally is killed. Much like Nice does, this is a nice kind of passive slash active. On a 4-turn cooldown, her aura increases ally attack in all battles by 35%. Let's see her attack form. Quite dangerous looking, quite beautiful too, beautiful character design. Let's read her attack form. On her A1, she attacks one enemy 3 times, triple slashers, crazy. If this attack kills an enemy, deals pure damage to all other enemies. If the other enemies are not bosses or minions, the amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 30% of the initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are bosses or minions, the pure damage dealt is equal to 10% of their max HP. Instead, this attack cannot crit. When you're facing her in the event dungeon, she's gonna deal pure damage equal to 30% of the initial target's max HP. So if she targets your highest HP support, good luck. On her A2, she attacks all enemies. Before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies. Steals them! Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Yikes. Also places a 25% weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. Because why not? Targets with attack equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Irresistible weaken on all enemies for 2 turns if your attack is lower to or equal to this champion. I don't know how this is gonna scale off in the event dungeon, but what I'm assuming is that every floor you're gonna have to account for 100 attack or something like this. I don't think that at one point you can exceed her attack. like stage 20, 25, or whatever the end of this dungeon is gonna be. Don't know how much you're gonna have to have for that one to resist this, you know? We have another new buff on her A3, places a 15% shatter buff and 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns. What does shatter do, you might ask? Much like Fortify, shatter is gonna increase the ignore defense effects on this champion between 7.5% and 15%. Shatter for nukers, Fortify for supports. Now this is not where it ends. 3 turns shatter, increase crit rate, and then she's gonna place a true fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Targets whose attack are equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Irresistible true fear. Granted that it is for a turn, it's still gonna hurt nevertheless. On a 4-turn cooldown with ignore resistance, plus 20% when booked out, and this applies for the A2 as well. She's gonna ignore a part of your resistance. 20% is a lot. On her passive, she's gonna deal 15% more damage for each dead ally. Each critical hit boosts this champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. Yikes. This is a very dangerous passive, especially because each crit will boost her turn meter by 10% whenever there is a dead ally. So if all of her allies are dead, say she comes with 4 other champions in the event dungeon, 5 at best, that is almost a 50% turn meter boost. And she's gonna keep spamming that A3. She's gonna hit, man, all of your champions if she manages to kill an enemy with this one. So Kurasa is gonna be an uphill battle to beat. You're gonna have to bring your best nukers to this event dungeon, and you're gonna have to come prepared that she's gonna cleanse her allies from debuffs, and she's gonna steal your buffs in her alternative form. So while Thalin might not have Fortify or Shatter or any of these cool new buffs, at the very least Kurasa is gonna bring them to us in the event dungeon, and we're gonna get to see how they work. And I'm sure that she's gonna be a claimable, earnable champion like the Queen of Hearts was, right? So if you manage to get your hands on her as well, if I manage to get my hands on her, that is gonna be an entirely new mechanic, entirely new way of building your teams. And another cool thing about Kurasa is that now enemy max HP damage can only deal 1% of her max HP damage. Burn mechanics also have a limited amount of damage that they can do to Kurasa, and I fully get why Plarium decided to do that. I feel like a lot of bosses, a lot of just dungeons and events, they can be tackled with a simple burn enemy max HP strategy, right? It's just so easy that I feel like they just wanted to introduce a cap this time to make things a little more interesting. I am all for it. While the restriction is quite hefty, or at least it sounds quite hefty, I'm sure that you can still bring along your favorite HP burners and they're gonna do a splendid job nevertheless. Like, Geo is still gonna work in the event dungeon. I would definitely try to use him and see how far he's gonna get me. And why we're so excited about the event dungeon, again in particular, is because they are bringing back Pinpoint. Pinpoint! Pinpoint is so good! And if you missed it during the last event dungeon, please repair your mistake and go and farm as much Pinpoint as you can. This is gonna be a really good time for me to upgrade my Pinpoint accessories and artifacts, because last time I was raiding this dungeon, during the Alice event, I couldn't get very far. So I have a bunch of like 4-star artifacts, Pinpoint just sitting there collecting dust, and I feel too bad to sell them. This is gonna be a great time for me to rack up on those Pinpoint accessories and gear. Great for PvE, great for Thalin if you're going for him. So this is how I'd like to think of this event. Oh, by the way, we're also getting new relics. Yes, we're getting new relics. Let me show you. Let me see if they're out already. No, they're not. But very, very soon they're going to be out. And we're gonna talk about them some more as well. Very exciting things. They're gonna be event exclusive, so I'm sure that they're only gonna be available to forge for during the fusion, the event, and not outside of it. You're gonna be earning materials through events most likely. So stick around for these as well, don't miss them out. So many exciting things coming up in Raid, you guys, so many. So even if you don't want Thalin, if you have enough attack champions, even though this guy, and let's go back to his page, Thalon is not to be slept on. I personally think that he's gonna smack, first of all, really hard. Second of all, he has good utility. He doesn't just smack really hard, he brings weaken. He comes with increased attack on himself. He has so many extra turns. You could probably kit him out in some other way. Like, stack him with poisons, right? Might as well, because he's gonna have a lot of accuracy anyway. If you want to take him down some dungeons, if you want to make him like a true boss killer, you can build him in a toxic set. You could build him in a relentless so he can hit an infinite amount of times. You can do so much with him. And sure, while he doesn't bring like Thor kinds of debuffs, crowd controls like stuns and whatnot, or like true fears or anything, how many good force attack champions do we have? How many good dwarf attack champions do we have? I feel like this guy is gonna perform much better than he reads, just purely out of my experience with Thor and these whenever you see something like activate something every 5th turn this champion takes, or every 6th turn or something, usually this skill is way more broken than you think it is. And I know this from Thor. I know this from just working with the champion that, like, at the beginning I almost missed the thunder counter. I missed the whole thing completely. This proc's so much more insane than I ever thought it would. So I have high faith in this passive, high faith in Thalon, and I'm saving up all my resources for this fusion. It's gonna hit in a week. So, all the upcoming events like the 2x on the Sacreds that's about to come tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow it's coming live on the 30th. All of these, Awakening, Summon, Boost, and Adventure Deck of Fate and whatnot. Traps. They're trying to get us to spend all of our resources so we don't get Thalon. Thalon might actually be a non-miss. I'm definitely not gonna sleep on Thalon. How about you guys? Are you guys planning on getting a Thalon Foulbeard for your accounts? Hit my comment section down below. Tell me what your plans for this June fusion. Are you gonna sit it out or are you gonna participate? Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. Bye!